Captain Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the Iron Will, watching the stars through the massive viewing screen. The ship stretched 15 kilometers from nose to tail, a giant metal beast carrying 50,000 souls through the darkness of space. It was one of only 12 Titan-class warships in the entire human fleet, and Hyunwoo had commanded it for 5 years. The bridge buzzed with quiet activity. Officers sat at their stations monitoring sensors and communications. The Iron Will was on a routine patrol near the outer colonies, checking for pirates or hostile forces. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. Captain called Navigation Officer Yoonji from her station. She was young, maybe 25, with sharp eyes and quick fingers on her controls. "I'm picking up something strange." Hyunwoo walked over to her station. "What kind of strange?" Hyunji pointed at her screen, where colored lines danced across a dark background. "These signals, sir. They're not natural. Someone is making them." The captain studied the display. He had been in space for 30 years, fighting pirates and rebels across 200 star systems. He knew what human signals looked like. "These were different. Are they from our colonies?" he asked. "No, sir. They're coming from outside our territory. System designation Kepler 442, about 6 light years from here. We've never explored it." Chief Engineer Taemin appeared beside them, drawn by the conversation. He was a thin man with graying hair and hands always stained with engine oil. "Let me see," he said, studying the data. After a moment, he whistled softly. "These patterns are too complex for natural phenomena. Someone built machines to make these signals." Hyunwoo felt his heart beat faster. In 500 years of human expansion across the galaxy, they had found empty worlds, dead civilizations, and ancient ruins. But never living aliens, never other intelligence actively using technology. "How far?" he asked. 6 hours at maximum jump speed," Yoonji replied. The captain looked around his bridge. His crew watched him with expectant faces. They all understood what this could mean. First contact, the moment humanity had wondered about for centuries. "Admiral Bo Young needs to know about this," said Communications Officer Jin Ho. "Earth Command has strict protocols for situations like this." Hyunwoo nodded, but he also knew that sending a message to Earth would take weeks. By then, whoever was making those signals might be gone. Or worse, they might notice human ships in nearby systems and disappear forever. "Send a message to the Admiral," he decided. "Tell her we're investigating unknown signals and will report back in 24 hours. Navigation. Plot a jump to the source." "Sir," Jin Ho said carefully, "the protocols say we should wait for instructions from Earth Command." "The protocols were written by people who never faced this situation," Hyunwoo replied. "We're the ones here. We're the ones who have to make the choice. If we wait and they vanish, humanity might never get another chance like this." He looked at each of his officers. "This is why we built ships like the Iron Will. Not just to fight pirates, but to explore the unknown. To represent humanity when we meet whatever else is out there." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of machinery. Finally, Yoonji spoke up. "Jump coordinates calculated, Captain. Engineering, how are our systems?" Taemin grinned. "The engines are running perfectly, sir. We could jump to another galaxy if you wanted." "Weapons and shields?" Security Chief Mi Young answered from her station. "All systems green, Captain. We're ready for anything." Hyunwoo took a deep breath. He thought about the 50,000 people on his ship. Soldiers, engineers, scientists, doctors, the best humanity had to offer. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. "All hands, this is the captain," he announced over the ship's communication system. "We have detected what appears to be artificial signals from an unknown source. We are moving to investigate. This may be humanity's first contact with alien intelligence. All departments prepare for unknown situations. Stay alert, stay calm, and remember that you represent our entire species." He turned to Yoonji. "Take us there." The Iron Will shuddered as its massive jump engines activated. Space twisted around them and the stars blurred into lines of light. For 6 hours, they traveled faster than light, racing toward the unknown. When they dropped back into normal space, alarms immediately began ringing. "Captain," sensor operator Woo Jin called out. "Multiple contacts." 50, 100, 200 ships. The viewing screen showed space filled with vessels unlike anything humans had ever built. They were beautiful, made of what looked like crystal and metal flowing together. They reflected starlight and rainbow patterns, turning the darkness into a light show. "Size comparison?" Hyunwoo asked, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Most of them are small, sir, frigate size, maybe destroyer class. But there are some larger ones. Still nothing close to our size. Dr. Haywan, the ship's chief scientist, rushed onto the bridge. Captain, the energy readings from those ships. Their technology is completely different from ours. I'm detecting power sources I don't recognize. Are they hostile? Hyun-woo asked. I don't know, sir. They're not shooting at us, but they're not running away either. They're just watching. On the screen, the alien ships moved in graceful formations like schools of fish swimming through space. They kept their distance but clearly were studying the human vessel. Try to communicate, Hyun-woo ordered. All frequencies, all methods. Mathematical sequences, pictures, music. Whatever might work. Jin-ho worked frantically at his station. Broadcasting on all channels, sir. No response yet. Minutes passed in tense silence. The alien ships maintained their positions, neither approaching nor retreating. It was like a careful dance, with both sides trying to understand each other's intentions. Captain, Yoonji said quietly, more ships are arriving. The alien fleet is growing. Hyun-woo watched as more crystal ships appeared, jumping in from different directions. Soon there were over 300 of them, surrounding the Iron Will at a respectful distance. They're not attacking, he observed, but they're not ignoring us either. They're studying us just like we're studying them. He stood up from his command chair and walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, monitoring systems and analyzing data. The moment every human had dreamed of was happening, and they were living it together. Continue trying to communicate, he ordered, and prepare a full report for Earth Command. Whatever happens next, humanity needs to know that we are no longer alone in the universe. Outside the ship, hundreds of alien vessels waited in the starlight, as curious about humans as humans were about them. The galaxy had suddenly become a much more interesting place. 3 days had passed since the demonstration, and the Iron Will remained surrounded by Veltar ships. The alien fleet had grown to over 1,000 vessels, but they all maintained their careful distance. Captain Hyun-woo stood on his bridge watching the beautiful crystal ships through the viewing screen. Captain, Dr. Haywan called from her station, I'm making progress with their language. The mathematical base we established is expanding into actual words and concepts. What are they telling us? They're sharing their history, sir, and asking about ours. She looked up with wonder in her eyes. Captain, the Veltar Empire spans over 3,000 star systems. They're not just one species, but dozens working together in perfect harmony. Communications Officer Jin-ho added more information. Sir, Junior Officer So-min has been working with me on the linguistics. She's brilliant with languages. We're starting to understand their cultural concepts. So-min, a young officer with quick eyes and steady hands, looked up from her work. Captain, they keep asking about our pain time. I think they mean our history of warfare. They can't understand why any species would fight so much. They've shared star charts with us, Navigation Officer Yoonji reported. Captain, there are hundreds of civilizations in this region of the galaxy. All peaceful. All working together in some kind of galactic community. Chief Engineer Taemin shook his head in amazement. A galactic community based on art and science instead of military strength. It's incredible. On the viewing screen, one of the larger Veltar ships moved slightly closer. Its hull displayed complex patterns of light that Dr. Haywan had learned indicated formal communication. They're sending a detailed message, she reported. It's from someone called Harmony Keeper Belthus. I think that's like an ambassador or diplomat. What does the message say? Dr. Haywan worked carefully with the translation software that So-min had developed. The Harmony Keeper wants to understand human philosophy. They're asking why we choose conflict over cooperation. Choose conflict? Captain Hyun-woo felt a flash of irritation. Tell them we don't choose conflict. Conflict chooses us. The message was transmitted and the response came back quickly. So-min translated with growing fascination. Sir, they're telling us about their homeworld. It was a garden paradise with no dangerous predators. Their species evolved as cooperative gatherers, not hunters. They learned to work together because it was natural for them. And they assume all intelligent species develop the same way? Yes, sir. Until now, every species they've met has followed a similar path. Cooperation, art, peaceful expansion. They've never encountered a species that developed through competition and warfare. Dr. Haywan received another transmission, and her eyes went wide. Captain, they're asking about our extinction events. Our what? They want to know what disasters on our homeworld forced us to become so aggressive. They think something terrible must have happened to make humans the way we are. Hyun-woo thought about Earth's history. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, climate changes that had nearly wiped out human ancestors multiple times. Each disaster had made the survivors stronger, more adaptable, more determined to never be helpless again. Tell them about the ice ages, he decided. About the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. About how our ancestors survived by learning to fight, to adapt, to never give up. The message was sent and the alien response revealed their shock. Someone translated with growing understanding. Sir, they're amazed that any species could survive such disasters. Their homeworld never experienced major extinction events. They evolved in stability, while we evolved in chaos. Ship's psychologist Yan Wu, who had been quietly observing the communications, spoke up. Captain, I think I understand their perspective now. To them, we're not just warriors. We're survivors of disasters they can't imagine. That's why our ship seems so powerful to them. Explain. They build ships for exploration and trade because their galaxy is safe. We build ships for war because our experience taught us that disaster can come at any time. To them, our preparation looks like aggression. To us, their lack of preparation looks like dangerous naivety. Another message arrived from the Veltar fleet and Dr. Haiwan worked to translate it. Captain Harmony Keeper Belthas is asking about our intentions. They want to know if we're here to conquer their territory. Tell them we're explorers, not conquerors, Hyunwoo replied. We came here because we detected their signals and wanted to make contact. The response was immediate and intense. So-min translated rapidly. Sir, they're asking why explorers need weapons capable of destroying planets. They don't understand the concept of armed exploration. Marine Colonel Jae-sung, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. Captain, maybe I can help explain. In human terms, we're like travelers crossing a dangerous wilderness. We carry weapons not because we want to fight, but because we might have to. But to them, Yeonwoo added, it's like we walked into a peaceful garden party, carrying weapons designed to level cities. They can't understand why anyone would need such firepower unless they plan to use it. Dr. Haewon received a new transmission, this one much longer and more complex. She worked with So-min to translate it, their excitement growing as they decoded the message. Captain, this is incredible. They're sharing data about the entire galactic community. There are over 1,200 different species in their confederation. All peaceful, all cooperative. 1,200 species working together? Taemin asked in amazement. Yes, sir. And they've shared their resource distribution networks, their conflict resolution methods, their technological exchange programs. It's the most advanced civilization imaginable, built on cooperation instead of competition. Another message arrived and So-min's face grew troubled as she translated it. Sir, they're asking about human expansion. They want to know how many worlds we've conquered. Conquered? Hyunwoo shook his head. Tell them we don't conquer worlds. We colonize empty ones or negotiate with inhabitants for settlement rights. But sir, Yoonji pointed out, what about the Martian Independence War? The Titan mining conflicts? The Europa Liberation Campaign? The captain realized the problem. What humans called liberation campaigns and independence wars might look very different to species that had never experienced major conflicts. They're asking for casualty figures from human conflicts, Dr. Haewon reported. They want to know how many people have died in our wars. Hyunwoo thought about the numbers. Millions dead in the war that united Earth's nations, hundreds of thousands in the conflicts that established the colonial governments, tens of thousands in the ongoing fights against pirates and terrorists. Give them the real numbers, he decided. But explain the context. Tell them about the tyrants we fought, the oppression we ended, the people we saved. The message was transmitted, and the alien fleet's response was immediate. Every ship began broadcasting at once, filling space with overlapping signals of shock and horror. Sir, So-min said quietly, I think we need to understand their perspective. To species that have known only 50 years of warfare and 10,000 years of history, our casualty figures look like genocide. But without those wars, Colonel Jae-sung pointed out, billions more would have died under tyranny. Sometimes you have to fight to protect the innocent. Dr. Haewon looked up from a new message. Captain Harmony Keeper Belthas is asking the key question. They want to know if humans can learn to be peaceful, or if we're permanently committed to warfare. The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood that this might be the most important question in human history. The answer would determine whether humanity joined the galactic community, or remained forever isolated as the species too dangerous to trust. Tell them, Captain Hyunwoo said after long consideration, that humans fight when we must, but we prefer to protect rather than conquer. Ask them if their peaceful galaxy has room for guardians as well as artists. The message was sent into space, carrying with it the hopes and fears of an entire species. In the distance, 1,000 alien ships waited for humanity's answer to reach them, while the crew of the Iron Will wondered what kind of future they were helping to create. The Veltar scout ship Harmony's song moved closer to the human vessel, its crystal hull shimmering with curiosity patterns. Captain Hyunwoo watched it approach on the Iron Will's viewing screen, noting how graceful and beautiful it looked compared to his own ship's brutal efficiency. Distance? He asked. 40,000 kilometers in closing, Commander Woo Jin reported. It's moving very slowly, probably trying to show peaceful intent. Dr. Haewon worked at her translation equipment, trying to decode the light patterns flowing across the alien ship's hull. They're asking for permission to scan us, Captain. They want to understand our technology. Can they do that from this distance? I don't think so, sir. They're requesting to come closer. Much closer. The scout ship continued its approach, beautiful and delicate. Its hull shifted colors like oil on water, and Hyunwoo could see how the aliens had built their ships for art as much as function. It was nothing like human design philosophy. 15,000 kilometers, Woo Jin announced. Sir, at this distance, if they wanted to attack us, they could do significant damage before we could respond. But their weapons are designed for their type of warfare, Security Chief Mi Young pointed out. Light, elegant conflicts between civilized species. Not the kind of total war humans prepare for. The scout ship sent another message, and Dr. Haewon translated quickly. They're asking about our hull composition. They want to know what we're made of. Tell them we're built for durability, Hyunwoo replied, for surviving in dangerous environments. The message was sent, and the alien ship responded by moving even closer. It was now only 10,000 kilometers away, well within what human military doctrine considered attack range. Captain, Woo Jin said with worry in his voice, that ship is beginning an active sensor sweep of our hull. Active sensors? Hyunwoo felt his muscles tense. In human space combat, active sensors meant target acquisition. It meant someone was preparing to fire, yes sir. High-intensity scanning beams focused on our weapon systems and power core. Sir, Mi Young called from her station. Defensive protocols are activating automatically. The ship's combat AI has classified the alien scanning as hostile targeting. Red lights began flashing on the bridge as the Iron Will's automated defense systems powered up. Weapon batteries turned toward the scout ship. Shield generators hummed to life. In seconds, the massive human warship had gone from peaceful observation to full combat readiness. They're painting us with targeting sensors, Gunnery Chief Dong Hyun announced. Combat computer is requesting permission to fire. Wait. Dr. Haewon shouted. They don't understand. To them, those are just scientific scanning beams. They don't know we interpret them as hostile. But it was too late. The Iron Will's automated systems had been designed by humans who had spent centuries fighting in the darkness of space, where hesitation meant death. The ship's main defense cannon swiveled toward the alien scout and fired a warning shot. The energy beam lanced out at 5% power, intended to miss the alien ship and demonstrate human capabilities. It struck an asteroid cluster 3,000 kilometers behind the scout ship. The results were spectacular and terrifying. The asteroids, some as large as city blocks, simply ceased to exist. The energy beam vaporized them instantly, creating a brief new star that lit up the surrounding space. The explosion sent shock waves rippling outward, and several smaller asteroids were caught in the blast and destroyed as well. On the viewing screen, the Veltar scout ship stopped moving. For several seconds, it hung motionless in space, its beautiful hull flickering with what Dr. Haewon would later identify as shock and terror patterns. Oh no, whispered Navigation Officer Yoonji. They didn't know. They had no idea what our weapons could do. The scout ship began transmitting frantically, its lights pulsing in rapid, panicked sequences. Dr. Haewon worked desperately to translate the messages. They're sending distress calls, she reported. Emergency broadcast to their entire fleet. They're saying we just demonstrated planet-killing capabilities. On the tactical display, the entire Veltar fleet began moving. All 500 ships pulled back to maximum sensor range, their elegant formations dissolving into what looked like barely controlled retreat. "They're terrified," Chief Engineer Taemin observed quietly. "They came here thinking we were explorers like them. Instead, they found a ship that could destroy worlds." Captain Hunwoo felt sick. The warning shot had been meant to show restraint, to demonstrate that humans could be dangerous but chose not to be. Instead, it had revealed the true nature of human military technology to species that had never imagined such destructive power. "Sir," Communications Officer Jinho reported, "I'm receiving signals from across the galaxy. The Veltar are broadcasting news of our encounter to other species. Dozens of civilizations are now aware of our existence." "What are they saying?" Dr. Haywan continued translating the flood of alien communications. "They're warning everyone about us, describing our ship as I think the closest translation is world killer or sunbreaker." More messages poured in as other alien civilizations learned about the human ship. Dr. Haywan struggled to keep up with the translations. "Captain, I'm getting responses from at least 20 different species. They're all asking the same questions. Are we conquerors? Are we here to destroy their worlds? Why do we build ships designed for total annihilation?" On the viewing screen, the Veltar fleet maintained its distance but continued watching. Their beautiful ships seemed fragile now, like butterflies observing a bird of prey. "Sir," Taemin said thoughtfully, "maybe we should explain to them why we build ships like this. How do you explain human history to species that have known peace for thousands of years?" Hyunwoo replied, "By telling the truth," Myung suggested. "We don't build weapons like this because we want to destroy worlds. We build them because we refuse to be destroyed." Dr. Haywan looked up from her equipment. "Captain, the lead Veltar ship is sending a direct message. They want to know why humans require such powerful weapons. They're asking what threats we face that require planet-killing capabilities." Hyunwoo thought about human history, wars that had lasted centuries, planets that had been fought over until they were uninhabitable, species that had tried to wipe out humanity and had to be stopped by overwhelming force. "Tell them," he said finally, "that humans come from a dangerous part of the galaxy. We build strong ships because we have learned that the universe is not always kind to those who cannot defend themselves." The message was transmitted, and the Veltar fleet waited for the response. Dr. Haywan worked to decode their reply, her face growing more troubled as she read. "Sir, they're asking about our homeworld. They want to know what kind of place produces beings who build ships like the Iron Will." "And what should I tell them about Earth?" Jinho asked. Hyunwoo looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Soldiers and scientists who had been trained from birth to survive in a hostile universe. People who understood that peace was something you fought for, not something that simply existed. "Tell them the truth," he decided. "Tell them that humans come from a world where you fight for everything, where only the strong survive, and where we learned long ago that if you want peace, you must be prepared for war." The message was sent, and the alien fleet received it in silence. In the distance, more Veltar ships continued to arrive, but they all maintained the same respectful, fearful distance. Captain Hyunwoo realized that first contact had not gone as anyone had planned. Instead of meeting fellow explorers, humanity had introduced itself to the galaxy as a species of warriors. The question now was whether that would lead to understanding or to a much larger conflict. The alien ships moved like dancers in space, their crystal hulls catching and bending starlight into beautiful patterns. Captain Hyunwoo watched them through the Iron Will's viewing screen, counting over 300 vessels now surrounding his ship. None had fired weapons, but none had moved away either. "Sir," Communications Officer Jinho called from his station, "I think I'm getting something." "Not words, but patterns, mathematical sequences." Dr. Haywan hurried to Jinho's station, her scientific equipment in hand. "Show me," she said, studying the data flowing across the screens. "Yes, this is definitely intelligent communication. They're sending us prime numbers, then basic mathematical concepts. Can you respond?" Hyunwoo asked. "I'm trying," Jinho replied, his fingers dancing over his controls, sending back the same sequences, then adding more complex mathematics. Commander Woo Jin looked up from the tactical station. "Captain, the alien ships are moving. They're forming a sphere around us, but staying at exactly 50,000 kilometers distance." "Weapon status?" Hyunwoo asked. "No obvious weapons detected, sir, but their technology is so different from ours. I might not recognize their weapons even if I saw them. The captain studied the alien formation. It was precise, almost ceremonial, like they were following some kind of protocol for meeting unknown species. Dr. Haiwan, he said, what can you tell me about these ships? The scientist looked at her readings and shook her head in wonder. Their power sources are incredibly efficient, Captain. They're generating massive amounts of energy with what appears to be very little fuel. And their hulls, they're not just crystal. It's some kind of living metal that can change shape and properties. Living metal? The best way I can describe it, sir. Their ships seem to grow rather than being built, and they're all slightly different, like no two are exactly the same. Lieutenant Mi Young spoke up from the security station. Captain, I'm detecting movement inside the alien ships. Life signs, but not like anything in our databases. Multiple different species, I think. Multiple species? Hyunwoo raised an eyebrow. They're working together? It appears so, sir. At least 3 distinct biological patterns, maybe more. On the viewing screen, one of the larger alien ships began to move closer. It was beautiful, shaped like a flowing teardrop made of silver and blue crystal. As it approached, lights began pulsing along its hull in complex patterns. They're trying to talk to us, Jinho said excitedly. The light patterns match the mathematical sequences we've been exchanging. Dr. Haiwan worked frantically with her equipment. I think I can decode some of this. They're asking about our ship, our size, our power source, our purpose. Our purpose? That's the closest translation I can manage, Captain. They want to know why we built such a large ship. Hyunwoo thought about that question. Why had humans built Titan-class warships? The answer was simple, but might not. Translate well to alien minds. Tell them we built it to protect ourselves and explore the unknown. Jinho worked to convert the message into the mathematical language they had been developing. The alien ship's lights pulsed in response, then began a much longer sequence. They're responding, sir, Dr. Haiwan said, studying the patterns. This is difficult to translate, but I think they're telling us about themselves. They call themselves the Veltar Empire. They're a confederation of different species who work together for exploration and art. Art? I think so, sir. They're sending us images now. The viewing screen changed to show pictures transmitted by the alien ship, cities that looked like grown crystals, reaching toward the sky in impossible spirals, creatures with multiple limbs and eyes, but moving gracefully through parks filled with plants that seemed to sing, ships that were clearly built for beauty as much as function. My God, whispered Navigation Officer Yunji. They're artists. Their entire civilization is built around creating beautiful things. More images appeared. Vast libraries that stretched across entire continents. Schools where different species learned together. Worlds that had been carefully shaped into garden paradises. How many worlds do they control? Hyunwoo asked. Dr. Haiwan continued working with the data. I think they're saying thousands? Their empire spans a large section of this part of the galaxy. And they've never met humans before? No, sir. They seem very curious about us, especially about our ship. Commander Wu Jin looked up from his station. Captain, more alien ships are arriving. The fleet is now over 500 vessels. Are they surrounding us? No, sir. They're maintaining that 50,000-kilometer distance, but they're definitely watching us very carefully. The lead alien ship sent another message, and Dr. Haiwan worked to translate it. Her face grew puzzled as she read the results. Captain, they're asking about our weapons. Our weapons? They want to know why our ship carries so many weapons. And why our weapons are so powerful. Hyunwoo looked at his tactical display. The Iron Will carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Its main cannons could punch through planetary crust. Its missile batteries could level cities. To humans, this was normal military design. But to species that had never known real war, what should I tell them, sir? Jinho asked. The captain thought carefully. How do you explain human military philosophy to aliens who build their ships for art and exploration? Tell them that space can be dangerous. That we build strong ships to protect ourselves and others from threats. The message was sent, and the response came back quickly. Dr. Haiwan looked troubled as she read it. Sir, I think we may have a problem. They're asking what kind of threats require such powerful weapons. They're also asking if we are the threats. The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. These aliens had built a vast, peaceful civilization. Their ships were things of beauty, designed for exploration and cultural exchange. Then along comes humanity with a 15-kilometer warship bristling with planet-killing weapons. They're afraid of us, Mi Young said quietly. Can you blame them? Wu Jin replied. Look at us from their perspective. We show up with the most heavily armed ship they've probably ever seen. Dr. Haywan received another message and her eyes went wide. Captain, they're sharing their history with us. According to this data, the Veltar Empire has experienced less than 50 years of total warfare in their entire 10,000-year history. 50 years out of 10,000? Hyunwoo couldn't hide his amazement. Yes, sir. They're a confederation of species that have learned to work together peacefully. Their conflicts are resolved through art, debate, and consensus building. The captain looked around his bridge at officers who had spent their entire careers preparing for war, humans who had been fighting each other in the dangers of space for centuries. How do you explain that to species who had found peace 10,000 years ago? Sir, Jinho said nervously, they're asking for a demonstration. A demonstration of what? Our peaceful intentions. They want to know if we're explorers like them or if we're something else. On the viewing screen, the alien ships waited in their perfect formation, beautiful and graceful and clearly expecting an answer. The future of human-alien relations might depend on what Captain Hyunwoo said next. 2 weeks had passed since Captain Hyunwoo sent his message about guardians and artists. The Iron Will now floated in the center of the largest gathering of ships in galactic history. Over 5,000 vessels from dozens of different species surrounded the human warship, all maintaining respectful distances while their representatives debated humanity's future. Captain, Communications Officer Jinho announced, "We're receiving a transmission from Earth. Admiral Bo Young's fleet has arrived at the edge of the system." "How many ships?" Hyunwoo asked. 12 vessels, sir. The exploration cruiser New Horizon, 6 colony ships, 3 research vessels, and 2 more Titan-class warships. Dr. Haywan looked up from her translation work with relief. "Thank goodness Admiral Bo Young brought colony ships and research vessels." The aliens have been worried that all human ships are warships. On the viewing screen, the human fleet approached slowly, broadcasting peaceful intentions on all frequencies. Junior Officer So-min had become expert at translating human concepts into Veltar language, and she worked quickly to explain the new arrivals to the alien observers. "The alien fleets are responding positively," she reported. "They're interested in our research ships. Many species want to share scientific data with human scientists." "Any word on the big decision?" Hyunwoo asked. "Yes, sir. Harmony Keeper Belthas says the Galactic Council has been debating for days. Representatives from over 800 species have participated in the discussions." Chief Engineer Tae-min shook his head in wonder. 800 species all working together to decide humanity's fate. It's amazing and terrifying at the same time. Ambassador Kyung-soo's shuttle docked with the Iron Will, bringing the senior diplomat who would represent Earth in the formal negotiations. He was an older man with kind eyes and a reputation for finding solutions to impossible problems. "Captain," he said as he arrived on the bridge, "you and your crew have done remarkable work here. The preliminary report suggests that first contact has gone better than anyone dared hope." "Better? We almost started a war with that warning shot." "But you didn't start a war," Ambassador Kyung-soo pointed out. "Instead, you opened a dialogue that has led to this." He gestured at the viewing screen where thousands of alien ships waited in peaceful formation. The largest peaceful gathering in galactic history. Dr. Haywan received a priority transmission and called for attention. "Captain Ambassador, this is it. The Galactic Council has reached their decision. Harmony Keeper Belthas is transmitting the results." The bridge fell silent as So-min worked to translate the most important message in human history. Her young face was serious with concentration as she decoded the alien words. "The Council recognizes that humanity developed differently from other galactic species," she began. "They acknowledge that human military capabilities are unprecedented in the galactic community." "Get to the point," Hyunwoo said quietly. "They're offering humanity a choice, sir. We can join the galactic community as equal partners, but we must accept certain responsibilities." "What kind of responsibilities?" So-min continued translating the complex message. "They want humanity to become the galaxy's defense force. They're offering us a role as protectors of the peaceful species." Ambassador Kyung-soo leaned forward with interest. "Protectors? Against what threats?" Dr. Haywan had been working on a parallel translation and looked up with excitement. "Sir, they're sharing data about external threats. Species from outside this region of the galaxy that are not peaceful. Raiders, conquerors, world destroyers that the current galactic community cannot stop. They need us to fight their wars?" Navigation Officer Yunji asked. Not their wars, So-min clarified as more of the message came through. They're asking us to prevent wars, to stand between the peaceful species and the external threats. The alien message continued, and So-min translated with growing amazement. They're offering to share all their technology, all their knowledge, all their resources. In exchange, human ships will patrol the galaxy's borders and protect the inner systems from outside threats. It's perfect, Security Chief Mi-young breathed. They get protection. We get a purpose beyond fighting each other. Ambassador Kyung-soo studied the proposal carefully. What about human expansion? Our colonies? They're offering us entire star systems on the galactic rim, Dr. Haewon reported. Frontier worlds where we can build human colonies while defending the galaxy's borders. Captain Hyunwoo felt a strange sense of destiny. Humanity had always been fighters, survivors, warriors. Now they were being offered the chance to use those skills to protect rather than conquer. There's more, So-min announced. They want to create a new organization, the Galactic Defense Force, with humanity as its backbone. Other species can join, but humans would lead it. They want us to be the galaxy's protectors, Hyunwoo said with wonder. Yes, sir, and they're offering something incredible in return. So-min looked up with tears in her eyes. Full membership in the galactic community. Access to 1,200 different civilizations. Art, music, literature, science from across the entire galaxy. Chief Engineer Taemin whistled softly. Imagine the technology we could learn from 1,200 advanced species. Imagine the worlds we could see. Eunji added, imagine the people we could save. Colonel Jae-sung said quietly. Ambassador Kyung-soo turned to Captain Hyunwoo. Captain, as the ranking human officer at First Contact, your recommendation will carry enormous weight with Earth Command. What do you think? Hyunwoo looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Young So-min, who had learned to speak with aliens. Dr. Haewon, who had bridged the gap between species. Jin-ho, who had established the first communication with another intelligent species. All of them had helped create this moment. I think, he said slowly, that humanity has always been at its best when we were protecting something. Our families, our homes, our values. Now we're being offered the chance to protect an entire galaxy full of peaceful civilizations. And in return, the ambassador asked, in return we learn what it means to be part of something bigger than ourselves. We become citizens of the galaxy instead of just citizens of Earth. Dr. Haewon received another message and translated it quickly. Sir, they're asking for an answer. The entire galactic community is waiting. Ambassador Kyung-soo looked at the viewing screen where thousands of alien ships waited in perfect formation, representatives of hundreds of species, all hoping that humanity would choose cooperation over isolation. Send this message, he decided. Tell them that humanity accepts the role of guardians. Tell them we will protect the peaceful species of this galaxy from any threat, internal or external. And tell them, Captain Hyunwoo added, that we look forward to learning from our new friends and neighbors. The message was transmitted and the response was immediate. The alien fleet erupted in celebration, their ships flashing lights in patterns of joy and welcome. Hundreds of species broadcast greetings in their own languages, creating a symphony of interstellar welcome. Captain, Dr. Haewon called over the noise of translation equipment. They're sending us star charts, locations of the first Defense Force bases, trade routes that need protection, and... She paused in amazement. The location of the galaxy's first major external threat. Something's coming from the void between galaxies. How long do we have? Hyunwoo asked. 6 months, maybe less. The captain looked at his crew, then at the thousands of alien ships surrounding them. Somewhere out in the darkness, something hostile was approaching the galaxy, but for the first time in human history, they wouldn't face it alone. All hands, he announced over the ship's communication system. This is the captain. Today, humanity takes its place as a member of the galactic community. Our mission has changed from exploration to protection. We are no longer just the crew of the Iron Will. We are the first guardians of the galaxy. On the viewing screen, alien ships began forming up into new formations, integrating human vessels into their ranks. The Iron Will took its place at the center, no longer a lone warship in the darkness, but the flagship of an alliance that spanned the stars. Captain Hyunwoo stood on his bridge and watched the birth of something unprecedented in galactic history. A community of peaceful species protected by warriors who had finally found a cause worthy of their strength. The galaxy's garden now had its guardians, and humanity had found its true purpose among the stars.